Hearing. I'll just restate a few things because they do merit restating. We have an $836 billion backlog unmet capital investment needs for highways and bridges. Nearly 140,000 bridges need repair or replacement. Over $90 billion just to bring existing transit up to a state of good repair, let alone build out new transit options for people. Yet we haven't increased the user fee here in Washington, D.C. in a quarter of a century. Over the past few years, 17 states have raised their gas tax, and nobody has been recalled. Nobody's lost their reelection. It has not been a controversy. The American people get it. They're tired of sitting in traffic. They're tired of blowing out tires and potholes. They're tired of being detoured around weight-limited or closed bridges. They're tired of the decrepit, state of our mass transit, and they want to see action. So today I'm sending Secretary Chao a letter urging her to come down and work with Congress to create a consensus around real investment and real solutions for the nation's infrastructure problems. I'm hearing a lot of talk about, well, it's going to be P3s, it's going to be infrastructure banks, it's going to be private tax credits, and we're going to streamline the federal approval process. Well, let's address that briefly. First off, most P3s are projects $1 billion or larger. You've got to have a rate of return. You've got to attract the investment. They have to be told or some other way, to recoup the investment. And they are generally 5-to-1 public money to private money. Now, the Speaker has said he wants 40-to-1 private money to public money. That means no more P3s. There's no investors out there are going to put up, at a 40-to-1 ratio and do a P3. They generally put up 10 to 15, at the most 20%, and the rest comes from TIFIA or local bonding or state bonding, municipal bonds, whatever. So that's myth number one. Now, infrastructure banks, private activity bonds, those are new forms of local borrowing. Again, they require a revenue stream, hence tolling or some other way of recouping the investment. And, of course, they do increase the costs. Now, Secretary Chao, unfortunately, was given some alternate facts by somebody. She stated, investors say there's ample capital available waiting to invest in infrastructure projects, so the problem is not money. It's the delays caused by government permitting processes that hold up projects for years, even decades, making them risky investments. No. No, that is not the problem. In fact, we made 42 major policy changes for streamlining in MAP 21. Not all of those have been implemented yet. In fact, some of them have run into conflicts with the FAST Act. So we did streamlining. We did more streamlining on top of streamlining. Let's get all that implemented and see if there's still any issues. I don't think you'll find many. In fact, more than 90% of the projects go forward under categorical exclusion, which is basically filling out a few sheets of paper, and it might take you a month or 2 months at the most. So that isn't the issue here. You can't streamline your way out of a lack of funding. So, 4% of projects, 4% require environmental impact statements, and as Ranking Member Norton noted, most of those are held up at the local or state level because of controversies surrounding those projects, redesign, and other things which came out in hearings which are required under the NEPA process. But that's 4% of the projects. So 96% don't even have to go through a rigorous environmental review. And a recent report by the Treasury looked at 40 economically significant transportation water projects whose completion has been slowed or is in jeopardy. Proof positive about streamlining. No, the report found that a lack of public funding is by far the major factor hindering the completion of those projects. So plain and simple, I got a provision in the FAST Act that says if Congress appropriates more money to transportation, it flows through the policies in the FAST Act. We don't need to spend a year or two rewriting the policies, arguing over transit highway split, arguing over enhancements, arguing over how much goes to freight, how much goes here, how much goes there, arguing. We don't have to go through any of the policy debate. All we need to do is have the guts to put up a little bit of money, and that's why I introduced a penny for progress. And as I've said before, if anybody around here thinks they're going to lose their election if they vote on something that caps the indexation increase at 1.5 cents a gallon a year, then you don't belong here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Ranking Member.